Houston Texans training camp day 2. What was a big deal? What wasn't? Because again, you got to take everything with a grain of salt that you see out there. So I took a look at some of the reports that are coming out from guys like DJ Biename, who I do a Talking Texans podcast with. Check out last night's episode on the ESPN YouTube channel if you are a Texans diehard. We got into the real nitty-gritty. Is this a big deal or no big deal? D'Amico Ryans was asked about the quarterback competition between C.J. Stroud and Davis Mills, who are splitting reps exactly down the middle. Here is what D'Amico had to say.
Yeah, the quarterbacks will rotate as we did in the spring. Nothing has changed there.
Do you anticipate, how long do you anticipate rotating?
We'll see. We'll see. When the time comes for us to declare someone as a starter, we'll do that when it's the right time for us.
He said a little bit later, they'll have a starter by Baltimore. Great. That's good. Deal or no big deal? This is no big deal. Stroud's going to get the job. It's just a matter of weeks, hopefully a week. I would like this to just be done already. I think one of the tricky things about this, where they are legitimately having C.J. Stroud do reps with the ones, then they're having Davis Mills do reps with the ones. I do think there's potential to disrupt the rhythm of both of these guys with the way that they're doing it. I think it would make more sense to maybe rotate on a day-to-day basis, and DJ and I talked about that in the latest episode of the podcast. Again, we're nitpicking here. He's a first-year head coach, but it is kind of weird that they're essentially like one group drill, next group drill. They're just alternating between Stroud and Mills as the one, with Mills always getting the first reps between the two, the first reps.
Yeah, he leads the rotation. I wonder if so the first preseason game is August 10th against the Patriots, I believe. Yeah, I think that's the first one. Do you think that there's a resolution? Do you think C.J. Stroud is the starting quarterback before or after that game?
You know what?
2 weeks from now.
I think, Sean, what they're going to do is they're not going to announce a starter until
the week before
the
week one
of the game,
like Monday before the Baltimore game.
Honestly, if I'm D'Amico Ryans, there's no point in announcing the starting quarterback.
Yeah.
Zero point. If you want to really prove how tight-lipped this ship is, and it has been, I think, extremely tight-lipped, as you saw leading up to the draft where no one knew what the hell the Texans were doing, the one little edge that you might have leading up to week one is we're not going to tell you who our starting quarterback's going to be. You're just going to find out on Sunday. Does it actually provide that much of an advantage? Not really. And it's not like the film that the Ravens are going to see if Davis Mills is good, you know? But that's like the one advantage that you might have going into that game is just complete fog of war. And if I'm D'Amico Ryans, I think I would do that, even though it is sort of like with Tom Herman earlier in this segment, very gimmicky.
Yeah, but there is if you can get like a 1%, 1% edge, just anything to give you a little bit, because like you said, at the end of the day,
it's dumb.
The Ravens studying Davis Mills tape and then being like, oh my God, it's C.J. Stroud making his first career start, probably, and still throwing to Nico Collins and all the guys he's going to be, Robert Woods. I do think that the Ravens, at the end of the day, can probably still just outdo the Texans. They're just the players they have are just better, and they just match up well against the Texans. So I don't think it's that big of a deal. But like you said, I think it's annoying. But like you said, if it can get you one little bit of an edge, might as well do it.
Let's continue. Deal or no big deal? Texans day 2 of training camp observations. We'll talk about what's going on today a little bit later. Kenyon Green, who's working back from offseason knee surgery, was first in rotation at left guard in team drills yesterday. That is a huge deal. I have been terrified, that once again, Green would be behind the 8 ball going into the year because he had availability issues last offseason. And while he did have some glimpses of promise in his rookie season, for the most part, it was a disappointment. He was a first-round pick last year, and he was a disappointment. Stingley, I feel like you could make an argument that Lovie Smith's scheme really effed him up. But Kenyon Green, I think he was behind the 8 ball from the beginning. You need all the reps you can get, especially with the way that the offseason's changed. If you're an offensive lineman, it kind of sucks for you in the offseason. How much better can you truly get, especially this time of year where it's not even full pads? Green's got to be out there. So I think it is a huge deal that Green is actually out there at practice.
Yeah, just health-wise, that he can be out there in practice, like you said, with the off-season surgery. And a guy, you kind of worry about that kind of stuff. And then, like you said, just getting the reps, that's helpful, especially for a guy, you said, like, kind of, like, Derek Stingley probably got an incomplete on last year's if you're grading the rookies.
Right.
Green got his chances, and he did not do well.
Very many chances. The guy lined up across from Derek Stingley, Steven Nelson, the man who called Nick Caserio a clown freak for his vest love, had the first interception of training camp yesterday off of Davis Mills.
Big deal.
I mean, I want it to be a big deal because I want C.J. Stroud to be the just starter right away.
And I want Steven Nelson to get paid.
Are you team Steven Nelson?
I mean, anytime you call your GM a clown freak, I'm going to be on your side.
I'm team Steven Nelson as well. I hope, like, there is a chance he's a surprise cut, I think, because there's a lot of corners, but he's working with the first unit, and if he's the first guy to get an interception, that definitely bodes well for him. He did play well last year. I think that the problem for him is potentially that it's just a more crowded cornerback room. And Shaquille Griffin, who they signed, and I've seen play in Seattle, is very familiar with the scheme that we believe DeMeco Ryans is going to run.
Yeah, I'm not here saying I think that he's going to be Champ Bailey or something. Like,
right.
I like him. I like having that kind of character on the team. That's really all it is.
Big deal or no big deal? So I'm going to say no big deal that he got that interception, but I want it to be a big deal.
Yeah.
Big deal or no big deal? Jonathan Joseph is on the Texans coaching staff as part of the Bill Walsh Diversity Coaching and Nunn Wooten Scouting Fellowships. It rolls off the tongue. That's a big deal. You got Derek Stingley Jr. on the team. You want him to get good? How about the best corner in franchise history?
Yep.
Boom.